All right. So thank you so much for joining today in the Rebirth with Joel moment. And we are starting to get reborn a little bit. So that's really great. And yeah, Joel is helping us today to shake it even more loose. You could say the grip on our thinking that we have something to say about our will. Now, our will is already joined with God, so we don't have to make that happen. So, we are actually doing exercises in happiness, and to realize that. So it's so interesting to see what's happening. So with the following days, like the 30 days to Easter, every day there's something coming up as a theme, you could say. So today, that theme, you could, yeah, I used here on the website, I've used the idea of love is the healer. And Joel says this literally in the talk part that we're going to listen to. It's like love is a healer. And that idea inspired me. Like that's a great idea. And he used this one very specific word and activity, you could say. It's the idea of gratitude. Now we're going to do a little exercise with that because that's interesting. It's like gratitude is wonderful. It's like absolutely great. Love to be grateful, but here you have it. So it's like, okay, so love to be grateful, huh? Loving to be grateful. Okay, we're quieting down. We love to be grateful. Now, the first thing that your mind can do is look for a reason. Why would I be grateful? and and there's no reason for it. There's no reason to be grateful. No, gratitude is like a natural, say, attribute of you when you realize who your source is. That's natural, it's just given. It's like not because my source is love, I'm grateful. No, gratitude is an attribute of love, of you, of how you were created, of your creator. So there's no reason for it. And this is probably one of the most difficult things for you to open up to gratitude because you always look for a reason to be grateful. And there is no reason to be grateful, it is what you are. And see, that's really lovely. So when you fall into say a feeling or an so overwhelming gratitude for no reason, it is completely free. It is there, it is all there is. In that moment it is all there is. It's the gratitude. So it is then with recognizing the light that you are is also for no reason. It is what you are. So the you know what I'm saying is like you turn off the reasoning, say, entity that seems to be living within you, within your consciousness. That be a thing that is always looking for a reason, and this has no reason. It doesn't have a reason to be. It is what it is. It is already there. So to turn off your mind, you could say, to turn off your mind, to find reasons to be grateful, find reasons to love, find reasons to be happy. All these things are, in fact, just, say, taking you away, yeah, pulling you away from the actual experience. The same with happiness, gratitude, happiness, joyfulness. Like if you realize who your source is, you're joyful, you're happy. Can that change? No, of course not. It's eternal. It cannot change. It is an inherent part as you were created. So you can say like when I don't feel it, I better like remember something here. I remember something that I'm trying to do something that is not natural for me because my natural state is of being is happiness, is joyfulness, is yeah, it's all that. So that's why I'm saying it's like this is all an exercise in happiness, and not that you have to learn happiness. No, you have to learn not to look for reasons to be happy. Now you have to learn to not look for joy, to feel joy, to experience yourself as joy. You don't have to do anything for that. So this is why this is an undoing. It's like not a doing on your part. This is why love is a healer. Your feeling of connectedness, your feeling of oneness with your brother, with God, is what all happiness is. It doesn't have reason. It is a healer. It is literally, it joins what thought it was separate. It is available now, and it is here. And you practice it all the time. You have to let go of your ideas to look for reasons for anything, for your existence, for your happiness, for your joy, for your misery, for all of this. Like even that, there's no reason for any of that. What is. You cannot change anything about that. And what isn't has never been. So that's a simplicity that's not so easy to digest right away. So the interesting thing, and which is really something to contemplate, is this. It's like, okay, I'm opening myself up to feel gratitude. Now I'm going to take a look what is actually occurring when I do that. Of course, I relax. I'm, say, trying not to do anything. Which is hard because I actually want to experience gratitude. Now I think I need to do something for that, need to relax, need to do this, need to do that. And before you know it, you already build up an incredible lot of prerequisites in order for you to experience this. No, it has nothing to do with it. So it is like, it has to come to you. Now, how do you do that? No doing on your part. How am I going to do not doing? It's impossible. It's impossible what's occurring, and still it is absolutely there. Now what? Joel says, the only way to get there, so to speak, is to be born again. This is rebirth with Joel. It's rebirth. So you can't do it. You're just not able to do it. Great. Wonderful. It doesn't mean that's not going to happen. No, it's going to be given. Before you know it, you start to dance for no reason. You start to laugh for no reason. You start to cry for no reason. And how did that happen? Wow, that was given. It's a beautiful thing that you suddenly is in your consciousness, just like that. So all your reasoning can go for just a moment. Now we're listening to Joel. Well, like all our reasoning can go for a moment. We're just open up to receive what is given. And who knows, it might just happen that you start to feel really good for no reason. Or that you start to laugh or cry or laugh for no reason. And so that's the great thing with listening to this, what we're sharing today. So after that, I come back with one thing that Joel said that I love to show you, just as a little contemplation. So here I'm going to share. I'm already staring at the button here. I'm sharing with you the video Rebirth with Joel. Okay, are you ready? Here we go.
For what you do not bring is not there. So it is that just recently I have had an unfoldment on something that makes me feel rather ashamed to admit, because I should have known it several hundred years ago. But I will admit to you that I have wondered for a great many years about this statement that love is the healer. I've wondered about that. because I've known a lot of loving people who weren't healed. And I've wondered, what does this mean? And I don't only mean humanly loving people, but those who have caught a measure of spiritual love, impersonal love, universal love. And even with that, healings have not taken place. And so it is only very, very recently that the light dawned and realization came. Love is the healer, the love of God. To love God supremely, to love the Lord thy God with all thy heart and with all thy soul. To love God so that it is not lip service, so that it is not a metaphysical cliche, so that it is actually a feeling within one. This is a healing agency. This really is a release or an overcoming of what the Master called this world. Love is a liberator, but love of money isn't, and love of position isn't, and love of one's family isn't. It's love of God. Oh, almost every mother on the face of the globe loves her family, and most fathers. But that isn't a healing agency. Many, many love their neighbors, but to love God is the secret, and it is the answer of the entire subject of love. And wherever love is mentioned, it really means love of God, or the love of neighbor, which is a love of God. In other words, to love one's neighbor purely from the standpoint that in loving my neighbor I am loving God, for those who say they love God, whom they have not seen, but do not love their fellow man whom they have seen, they are liars. Therefore, to be able to love our fellow man, not for his sake, but because in loving him we are loving God who constitutes his being, the being of man. God who is the creative principle of man, the Father. So it is then that as we walk this path of the infinite way, you will find out how little you know of spiritual truth. Don't think I mean just you, for I'm always discovering how little I know. The spiritual truth is of such a nature and such a depth that it isn't given to any one of us to know but a grain of it at a time, and to have this grain reveal itself little by little, and usually with pains and problems. Not with successes. We are apt to sit back in those successes and lean back in them. The depth of our spiritual realization does not come in the years of our affluence and health, but in the years of our problems, the problems that force us out of our humanhood, force us to a place beyond the realm of the human mind. Yes, I can put it in these words. Everyone believes that they have some knowledge of God. And as long as they believe that, they have no knowledge of God. They are devoid of knowledge of God as long as there is a trace of belief that they have some knowledge of God. No one has even caught the first glimpse of God until they have reached that point in which they recognize that any bit of knowledge they ever had was wrong, and necessarily had to be wrong, because whatever their knowledge was represented only a concept that someone had passed on to them, or a concept they formed by reading something, an image in their own mind. In other words, any time we believe we understand God, it means we have an image of God that we have created. And so we've fallen in love with our own image, the image that we created. Not knowing sometimes we've created a monster, even when we call it God. You see, it is not possible with the human mind to know God. It is not possible to entertain a concept of God that is correct. We can know something of the nature of God, as when John says that God is love. That is not knowing God, remember. That is merely knowing the nature of God. In other words, when we say God is love, we are also saying that God does not create sin, or God does not create disease, or God never created death. When we say God is love, we are at the same time saying that God is not responsible for any of the ills that exist on the face of the earth. They are entirely man-made. This is not knowing God. This is merely knowing something of the nature of God. And we can know that because it is revealed to us. And it has been revealed to us through the mystics of all ages that God has never created a disease of any name or nature on the face of the globe. God has never been responsible for age. God has never caused death in the entire history of the world. God couldn't do those things and be love. Nor could God do those things and be life, life eternal. For in life eternal there can be no death or awareness of death or responsibility for death. And so it is that we can overcome many of the false concepts of God that we have entertained because of previous religious beliefs. But all of that does not yet bring us into a knowledge of God. And of course, it never is possible to have a knowledge of God, because that would mean that we are encompassing infinite God in a finite mind or finite consciousness or finite understanding, and that would be impossible. But we can, as we continue our studies and our meditations, we can rise to that place, and I have quoted this to you before, of Maimonides, who said that if you say God is great, or God is love, or God is all, or God is infinite, you are saying no more than when you say God is. And so it is possible through study, through meditation, it is possible through catching glimpses, not of what's written in books, but what lies between the lines of what's written in books. It is possible to catch the vision at last. God is, and that is enough for me to know, and not try with the human mind to encompass God, but to relax in the assurance that God is.
All right, that was very familiar. We didn't listen to that long ago. We did listen to that not too long ago, I should say. So that's really lovely. It doesn't matter at all. So now it's in the light of love is the healer. You know, love is the healer. So I want to share with you something from the website where I say, put a light on this. It's really, so love is the healer. I'll just read it here. We will thank God where we are. Right there where we are. In the tub, in the shower, or in the bus, or in the business, wherever we may be, and bring instantaneity into our experience so that our lives become a dedication to gratitude. For gratitude is that form of love which best expresses the qualities of love. And only as we live in this sense of gratitude, and what have we to be grateful for if not for the fact that God is now, and that God is where I am, and that where I am, God is. And that all of this exists in this glorious minute when, now, are we the sons of God. And as we let gratitude flow out from us for this joyous experience, for this realization, we then find how it is that love is a healer, that love is a way of life, that love is the source of all life, and that this love best manifests itself through our gratitude. And our gratitude mustn't be because someone gave us something, or we received something. No, it is just a state of being. So I love this. I love this. And only as we live in this sense of gratitude, in this experience of gratitude, and what have we to be grateful for if not for the fact that God is now, and that God is where I am, and that there where I am, God is. And remembering that in this instant. Yeah, so this is what I shared in the beginning. It's like there's no reasoning connected to it. So there's an receptiveness and a willingness to open up for it, related to it. In that it occurs. It is just like it just happens automatically. It becomes part of you when you allow yourself to sink in deep enough into your meditation. So now we're going to have a moment of quiet, just to settle in this, you could say, to become quiet. Some music will be there, but basically it's just quiet, sinking into that, opening up, relaxing, allowing yourself the change, allowing yourself the alternative that is with you, within you. So this is what we're going to do for now. So I'll be quiet for a moment, and we sink deeper into ourselves, you could say.